The name of the movie is Modular Housing: How NZ Just Changed Building Forever.
On a traditional building site, progress halts the second it rains and timelines sink into mud. On the right, inside an off-site manufacturing floor, a robotic arm seamlessly lowers a prefabricated wall into place with absolute sterile precision. This stark bar chart compares the flat line of our historical housing supply against a very steep required curve. New Zealand has a government mandate to build 150,000 new homes by 2025. Against that target, average house prices sit around $1.2 million, effectively locking an entire generation out of the property market. We already have an alternative. New Zealand possesses a $1.1 billion modular construction market. By treating homes like manufactured products rather than bespoke projects, builders can slash construction times by 50% and reduce material waste by a quarter. So if the efficiency gains are that massive, why hasn't a factory-built future stepped in to solve the housing deficit? The engineering is perfectly sound, the technology is completely ready, but the environment is hostile. Look at this line graph tracing 22 years of data from the Commerce Commission. It shows a systemic, long-term decline in New Zealand's business dynamism. The rates of new businesses entering and exiting the market are falling, and the ones that do enter are struggling to gain early traction. When that competitive threat disappears, watch what happens to incumbent innovation budgets. They flatline. If there's no agile startup fighting for market share, large established firms have zero financial incentive to adopt disruptive, highly efficient technologies like modular integration. They can afford to maintain the status quo. This dynamic creates something called regulatory moating. Because the existing legal codes for building quality and safety are incredibly dense, established players learn how to navigate them flawlessly. They then rely on that complex thicket of rules to block smaller, innovative competitors from ever getting a foothold. New Zealand's housing crisis reflects a broader economic stagnation, where defensive rules prioritize protecting existing monopolies over fostering new disruption. Zooming in on domestic infrastructure, we can see exactly how the current New Zealand legal context operates. The regulatory system, specifically frameworks like the Building Act 2004, is designed almost entirely to react to problems and prevent failure. The core friction point of the Building Act is a single legal requirement. Building consent authorities must rely on in-person site inspections to verify structures comply with the code. Apply that rule to modular technology, and you hit a physical impossibility. An inspector standing on a plot of land in Auckland cannot visually assess the plumbing or electrical wiring that was permanently sealed inside a wall panel manufactured 300 kilometers away. That inspection bottleneck creates massive financial fallout. The average cost to set up a modular factory in New Zealand is roughly $3 million. For investors, pouring that kind of capital into a facility is deeply unappealing when local consent timelines remain entirely uncertain. Legislation written to protect citizens is inadvertently acting as a massive economic brake. It requires artisanal, on-site checks for off-site, modern manufacturing. Inside halls like this, China employs a vastly different approach, known as proactive and preemptive governance. In their system, the law is not a brake to stop failure. It is an active tool engineered to accelerate geopolitical and industrial power. Look at the Shenzhen skyline. It is the physical result of the sandbox method. Through special economic zones, the Chinese state tests disruptive construction tech and market-oriented laws simultaneously. If a 5-year plan calls for rapid prefabrication, the regulatory standards for that technology are rolled out locally, refined, and then pushed nationally. This interface shows China's 3D Real Scene, or Res 3D initiative. It is a digital twin infrastructure that reflects the physical world in a virtual, spatial format, allowing the state to move urban planning and production scheduling entirely online. Instead of waiting for a physical inspection on a muddy lot, officials can visually analyze and approve complex modular integrations virtually. The friction of the real world is solved in the digital one before a single piece of steel is cut. Under developmental regulation, the state aligns legal code perfectly with engineering reality. The law acts as the pavement upon which new industries are built. New Zealand is beginning to recognize the necessity of agile regulation. we are finally seeing a pivot away from the reactive model. The government's new BuiltReady certification scheme solves the physical inspection paradox by shifting the regulatory assessment. Instead of inspecting the individual building site, the authorities inspect and certify the manufacturing process itself. Once a manufacturer passes that rigorous front-loaded assessment, their modular components are deemed to comply with the building code. This allows builders to bypass repetitive local inspections entirely and dramatically accelerate their deployment schedules. BuiltReady proves that New Zealand is capable of rewriting its rulebook. It is the first critical step to moving housing out of the realm of artisanal craft and into a high-efficiency manufacturing pipeline. The Productivity Commission reports that building long-term economic resilience requires the same shift toward regulatory agility. These policies rely on new, collaborative networks between industries and policy agencies to identify and manage the risks of supply chain disruptions before they happen. This resilience demands structured industry-government collaboration. Public agencies and private firms must move past adversarial regulation and start co-developing the standards for smart technologies and digital supply chains right now. The fast-tracked integration of advanced tools like building information modeling and hybrid modular systems is entirely dependent on establishing this collaborative, proactive legal framework. By making the law a tool for rapid industrial deployment, New Zealand can lower the hurdles for new firms, solve the housing deficit, and rebuild its economic dynamism from the ground up.
Hey everyone, if you're enjoying this, make sure to like and follow and hit subscribe for more great content. Thanks for watching.